Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm back again with pandemic projects. We're keeping ourselves busy. Quite honestly, I didn't realize how many reels I had to work on that could fuel the daily activity, but I continuing to get through this, and we all will get through this. So we're doing the pandemic projects. We're trying to post one a day just to keep your mind off of what really is going on out there. But please all be safe, be well. Stay home when you can, and take the advice of your local folks that are telling you what we should do, since we're not experts in that. So I'm going to work today on a Penn 10. It's an older reel. Folks ask me what's one of my favorite reels in the Penn line. This always comes up as one of my favorites. It's in size, it's similar to the Penn 9 or the Penn 109, but that's where it ends. It's a high-speed reel. It's got the override for the anti-reverse dog, just like the Penn Squitter. You can hear it clicking, and then if you flip your switch, you've got the override. You can back pedal and save your gears. It's got the larger drag system. It's got the nice compact format. It's got ball bearings on both sides. It casts like a demon, and it's a great little reel. So I'm going to show you how to take this apart, how to service it if you have one. If you don't have one, you're thinking of buying it, you'll see how it's made on the inside. And if you're just interested in learning a little bit about some of the Penn reels that are out there, then stay tuned, because this one's a fun one to do. The video is kind of the same as normal. I'm going to start by the outside here. I'm going to wear a protective glove to keep junk off my hands, although these reels that the viewer sent in are very clean. We're going to take the external parts off, and after I remove the handle screw, I do like to back the handle off by removing or loosening the star drag, as opposed to trying to wrench it off this way. You don't want to damage any of the shaft or any of that if you can, so that's a good way to do that. And then you'll see as I take these off, I put these into the basket. Now I know the Penn 10 as a reel, so I'm not going to do some of the things that maybe I would advise you to do. But if you don't know this reel, go out onto the internet and go get a schematic. Now this is not the right schematic, but you can find the Penn reel schematics on the website for mysticparts.com. It used to be pennparts.com. Go into the conventional reels and you'll find the Penn 210 there, and you can pull that schematic down and you can see how that reel is set up. That helps you as an exploded view if you get lost along the way. And by the way, if you open it up and you find you need a part, then it shows you the parts availability and how to go order them if they are still available. Now, as I mentioned, this reel is a little bit older, so I'm not quite sure what's left in this sequence, but this reel is a beautiful reel, and this one is in nice condition. You'll notice I'm removing the lower bar here. It's the only one I'm going to take off fully. And when I take that bar off, I'm going to put the short screw on the one side and the long screw on the other. And I'm going to remember that the long screw belongs on the gear side plate. I do that so that I can pull the worm gear out. And we're going to start by servicing that. This one seems to be running fine. I'm going to pull the screw out of the carrier, the line guide, that holds the pawl in it. And I'm going to check, make sure that pawl is in good condition. You want to make sure it's just a little cylinder. You want to make sure that that cylinder has the two teeth, that you're not missing them, and that the teeth are pointy and in good condition. Once you do that, a drop of oil is all you need to do, and put that back into the carrier, and put the carrier back into the line guide. Now when you put it in, because I've moved that pawl, you got to adjust that, make sure that it seats properly, and it's a little kind of not trial and error, but it's an iterative step where you just have to kind of twist it a little bit. As you tighten, you'll feel it snug up, and then the teeth will eventually find the little groove that they ride in. And once they find that groove, then you're done. So it just takes a little patience here. I'm almost there. I can see it tightening down now. I think we got it. then you're going to just move along with that. So some folks ask me, do you grease these worm gears or do you oil them? I put a little oil on them, especially if you're fishing in the saltwater environment. That saltwater dries, gets in these grooves. The grease can clog the barrel, and if you get dirt in that grease, then you just got a grinding sensation going on. So I generally, as a purpose, just oil those gears. Okay, we'll take the rest of the reel off then. And you're going to find that this is got a lot of power and a lot of stuff just packed in one little reel here. And if you have the opportunity to go get these, I would suggest that you go do that. Particularly if you like to fish big game with small reels. So I think this one, I'm sure they're all braid capable. This has got an aluminum spool on it. It's got a line guide, but I think the line guide can certainly handle the braid. And this is probably one of the ones that was Penn's early version of what the small frame lever drags have become. It's just a high-powered, small format reel. So as you can tell, I'm a fan of these, and when people ask me what some of my favorite Penn reels are, this is one of them. Okay, the side comes off. Take that carrier out. Take the spool out. And this is the first bearing. And you don't have to do anything here. You got a plastic idler gear. You can leave that bare. You don't have to put any kind of lubricant on it. Plastic being plastic is kind of self-absorbing, self-lubricating. I'm going to grab a clean paper towel now. I'm going to just wipe off all of the little surface. It's not even marring. I don't even know what you want to call it. This is a beautiful reel, but it's just got a little bit of like a film on it. So my guess is there's a good chance this has been used inshore or probably in freshwater, because it's got a nice gleam and a shine to it. Next up, you have to take the trim plate off on these because this thing is so deep. This is a magnet. You can tell it's a magnet. That's going to work on slowing the spool. And we're going to pull the 4 screws here with the screwdriver. That's our bridge. And these screws are long screws, but they do follow the same, I believe they follow the same pattern as most Penn reels, where there's 2 threaded screws below and there's 2 partially threaded screws above. We'll certainly find that out when we take this off. And once you get the screws loosened, just push that through. Now, the dog should remain on the side plate. There's a trip lever dog that looks like a Penn 49 because of the override here, or it looks like the squitter, but it's not the same squitter setup where the spring is inside the dog. So let's see what we got. Yeah, that's what we got. So we have the screw is mounted on here, much like the spring is mounted on here, just like a jig master. It's got a little circle that holds on this piece, so you're not going to lose that spring shooting like you would on some of these, but you want to take all precautions anyway. Okay, we're going to do our normal servicing now, and that starts with the removal of the gear sleeve here so that we can grease that gear sleeve and clean out any grease and grime. Most of the time you can push that through. I'm not having any luck with that, so I'm just going to take that, and it might be off camera here, but I'm just going to take that to the side and just tap it through. I guess if you have enough hand strength, you can probably push it through. Let's see if we can push it through now. Well, at this point, no. So I'm going to grab it gently with the pliers and just kind of wiggle it out, just like that. Don't get aggressive with these pliers. If you compress the end of that, it's not going to come back in easily. Okay, we're going to just hold that dog so it doesn't shoot while I remove the gear sleeve. We've got a little tackiness going on the gear sleeve, so I'm going to take steel wool and clean that post off. Then we'll go over to the gear sleeve here and take a cotton swab, a quick shot of some penetrating oil inside. And what may have happened here is just a little bit of drying on the grease that shellacked it. And we'll just make sure that we got that clear. We'll do the same thing over here on the dog. Clean that case up, and then start the pin back into the assembly, and then we can reload the assembly. Oh, put some grease on there. Getting ahead of myself. So we're going to use some Penn precision reel grease. Doesn't have to be Penn for Penn reels, but it does need to be reel grease. And I encourage you to not use household greases and the like. I encourage you just to please use a fishing reel grease. Doesn't matter whose manufacturer that reel grease is, but it does matter that it is reel grease. Okay, and then you can see how the pin just pushes back in. Went in a lot easier than it came out. And there you go. And we'll just test to make sure. A little drop of oil onto the dog. And we can put our little hard washer on there that holds the dog in place. All right, let's go over to the drag washers. These are HT100 drag washers. I believe they're for the Model 60 reel. So that's your difference between the 10 and say the 9. The 9's drag washers are smaller. Those washers would be from the 155 series, and these are from the 60 series. So I'm going to dip the washers into some Cal's Universal Drag Grease. I'm going to use my gloved hand to spread the grease around. Wipe that down. Put the main gear on with the first drag washer in. These are clean. If they weren't clean, you could take some steel wool, clean them up. We're going to put the first of the metals. That's a circular washer with a rectangle internal washer. Next, we'll do a second one here. Do the same thing. Grab it with your gloved hand there. Wipe off the excess onto the shaft. And now we're looking for the eared washer. The ear washer spins free of the main shaft, but it does have the two that connect and tie into the main gear. So they fit in the slots like that. And the last one up, same thing. Get the grease around it. Now the grease keeps the washer flexible. That's the purpose of drag grease. You don't want the washers drying out and cracking. That's what you use the drag grease for. It's not to help washers spin or anything like that. Okay, that's yours. Your bridge assembly is completed. Let's go over to the other side now. I have the 4 bridge screws laying on my desk there. That always makes me nervous, but that's where they are. They fell out of the case. All right, we removed the jack. We removed the yoke. This is a clean reel. There is a little bit going on in here on that bearing. Here's your second bearing, right? We said you had a bearing on each side plate. Little accumulated grease runoff, nothing major there. Then we're going to check the teeth on the spool gear or pinion gear. If these were dirty, you would clean them up. There's a little bit of shellacked grease on the yoke here, so let's take care of that. And the jack is fine. So we're going to take some oil. I'm going to oil the bearing. Come over here to the bridge while I have my brush out getting ready to go. I'm going to put some grease onto the main gear. And you don't have to get it in all the spots. Get it in most. And make sure while you're doing this that you make sure that the teeth are all uniform and in good condition, which they are here. Okay. So we'll come back now. Since I have that brush all greased up there, I'm going to put some grease onto the yoke. I'm going to take the pinion gear. We're going to slide that in. Just wanting to go for the drag grease. There's no problem if you use the drag grease, but I just prefer to use the blue grease on this. All right, so we're all buttered up with that, and we can go reinstall the gear side then. I do want to take the glove off since we did a nice job of cleaning. We'll just get the residual off of that. We have the two springs. If you took them out, put them back. They belong in the cavity. We rest the yoke on top of those springs, and we push down to seat it. We grab the jack, slide that over. There's a big hole and a small hole, so the big hole becomes the entry, and then the small hole actually holds the assembly. And then we can just slip this in. You want to make sure you're in the off position there. Just slip the whole assembly in. and it should seat. You'll hear a little click like you just did. And once you do that, come back here. The fully threaded screws belong on the bottom. Now the bottom in this case is not these two. Those go to the reel seat. But get started. There's 4 bridge screws. They're up top here. And I'm holding the assembly from the other side so that we have a nice even approach to this. I'll go up top. I like to put these in opposite directions. Kind of northeast, southwest. Get them started. But a great little reel there. So you can see it's got more drag pressure than the 9 or the 109, and that's because the drags are bigger, and max drag is all about the size of the area of the drag washers, and that can be accomplished 2 ways. The washers can be bigger, or there can be more of them. And in this case, you've got both versus the Penn Mag. Alright, this one just is a little bit more to tighten. Give it a drive here. Turn it in, make sure that it's working properly. Make sure you flip your switch. You don't want to do too much here. You want to test all of this stuff before you go back assembling it, only to find out you have to take something off again. And then there's just a little bit which we couldn't get before. You want to get a little bit of the grease up top where that jack enters the yoke. Okay, so that's that part. Now comes the fun part, because half of the time the reels that I get in are because people took the reel apart and couldn't figure out how to put it back together again. So if you just joined the video for that, well, then it's your time to see how it all comes together. All right, now you want to take, again, nice clean reel. I want to keep greasing that off of the reel as much as possible. I'm going to grab the side plate now and cover that over. You want to line up your pieces. We're going to take the spool, just check again. You want to make sure that all the teeth on the back of that spool gear there, that's the one that's going to drive the idler gear, that's going to drive the level line. You want to make sure that's good. You want to make sure all the dirt and everything on the spool side is clear. You can insert that. Then we can take our side plate. And what you want to do is you want to start with the side plate, but you don't want to tie it down. I'm just looking for my pin there. You want to make sure that your side plate screw holes are there. And here's what I mean by start. You want to take one of these screws and put it in 2 or 3 turns, but leave play in that side plate. You want to do the same thing on the opposite side here. You want to get 2 of them going, and that's going to give you the balance, and it's going to give you an easier way to load the cross wind assembly. Okay, so they're just started. Now what you want to do is you want to get your line guide ferrule or shield. There's 2 holes there, there's prongs, and there's 2 holes opposing. On this, the longer side goes to the back of the reel, and then you want to move it. Now you got them snapped in and you've loaded the shield, so now come back and tighten those 2 that you started. If you tighten these all the ways down, there's no way that you could get the shield to go in there because of those points. And if you tried to put the shield in and everything without starting these things, well, you're in for a treat. It's going to take you quite some time to make all of that balancing work. So this is just something I've learned over time. I'm happy to pass along to you. There's 2 longer screws now, and they came out of the bottom here, which go into the reel seat. We'll do those. Remember, I took the post off below, and it's not time to put that post in yet. It will be, but not yet. Okay, we got that done. Now we want to take our line guide that we serviced and oiled. You want to move this line guide all the way over to the right-hand side. Then we're going to come underneath the line, through the hole, We're going to seat the line guide into the groove in that main up top. And then we want to get it started. Then we take our little ferrule or screw cap, put a drop of oil where it's going to intersect with the line guide here, the worm gear, and then we can put that in. Now I like to leave that loose because chances are we didn't get it set the first time, and you can't get it set until you start cranking away. So the gear sleeve goes on next. Just take that little bit of film off the adjuster. Star adjuster's next. Now if we didn't take that gear sleeve off at this point, you would put a drop of oil in there, but we've taken that off. We're going to go into throw mode now, and that's what I thought. I didn't think we had the line seated yet. So what you want to do now is you want to push over, and you just heard it snap in, and now as you hold it, you'll see that it starts to turn, and then you can tighten this down. There's a rectangular slot on the gear in here, and there's a rectangular end on the worm drive there. And you just need to line them up. There you go. We've got the line guide going now. Now we can put the bottom post in. And this has to go in square. If it goes in any other way, you're going to be missing. So it's got to go in even across. Then we can load that screw. Get it started. If it starts to spin, don't worry, it's just because nothing is holding it on the other side. We'll come back with this piece. So I've been doing this for a while, but hopefully some of those tips I left you there about how to do this, including loading that line guide, that tip works for just about all of the Penn reels. So this one's got a big brother. It's called the 210, and the 210 is an improvement on the 209 because it has the ball bearings on both sides. And you can do the same thing with the 209, the 210, the 9, so on, in terms of loading that in. I've learned a lot of this over 20 plus years of doing reel repair. If you have any questions, if you're doing one of these projects and you have any questions because you're stuck on something, please send me your questions and enter it in the comments. It doesn't have to be about this reel. It could be about any reel in particular. And I try to answer all of the questions and comments. So I'll try and help you out as best I can if I know the reel and if I've worked on the reel. If you have one of these and you want to get it serviced, well, I do that too. I do it in the mail, and just get my business card at the end of this video. Drop me a note to my email, which is secondchancetackle@gmail.com, and we can make arrangements to have that done. I know these do tend to get intimidating, and if you're not up for that, then by all means let me know. Okay, so we just put in the handle screw, we put the tie down on. Got one little reel. Is there any question as to why this thing is one of my favorite reels? Shouldn't be. It's just a beautiful little reel all around. And this one's ready to go fishing. Last thing I do then, I just clean off the little grease because I've had grease on my piece. With that, I'm going to wish you well. This is a pandemic. Please stay indoors, stay safe. Listen to your local authorities about how to best avoid the virus, and we'll all be back out there fishing soon enough. In the meantime, take the opportunity to go clean up some of your fishing reels, get them ready to go when it's okay to do that. So with that, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you. Have a great day.